And we're back.
No way.
Yeah. Well, everybody, we are back. We have such an amazing show. Welcome to the AutoAuthorities Podcast. My name is Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of AutoAgent.com, and this is my co-host,
David Marks with Quality Auto STL, home of trusted services with no surprises.
We have, this is going to be a fun show, and we're going to be talking about the best and worst cars to buy. Now, before we get going, I just simply want to say these are our opinions, not necessarily opinions of other people. But I would like to say that I have been in this business for almost 26 years now. And Dave, how long have you been doing this?
Over 22 now.
But Dave is with cars every single day. And today we are going to be talking about the very, very best cars to buy and the very, very worst cars to buy. And we want this to be interactive also. So we can actually see when you make a comment. If you make a comment, we can see that. If you want to tell us the car you're driving, we'll tell you our opinion. So we are going to talk about the best and worst cars to buy when we come back. Here we go. Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by AutoAgent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL, trusted services with no surprises.
And I want to welcome everybody back. My name is Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of AutoAgent, and this is Mr.
David Marks. You should know who I am.
Hey, so everybody, real quick, I want to thank one of our sponsors, Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. If you want to have a podcast like this, he is going to give you a free consultation. You simply send a message to start@TechieTonyMedia.com. And he will get you a free 15-minute consultation. I love this podcast. I love doing this. And I wish I wasn't so shy.
I don't think you're shy at all. Where the hell did that come from?
So I'm telling you this. If you're listening right now, this is going to be interactive. If you're watching this live, you can leave comments and put the vehicle that you're driving now.
Yeah,
because we're going to be covering the very best and the very worst of cars. And of course, this is our opinion. And we have a little gift for our listeners. If you're listening right now, if you text 57838 and the word car, that's 57838 and the word car, you are going to receive our free ebook. It's written, it's got 7 steps on how to buy a car, step by step, to keep away from the nonsense. And it's all free for you. And it will give you updates for all of our podcasts. So, Dave, you ready to get going?
Absolutely.
All right. So, I want to talk about the books and the magazines that everybody reads. Which magazines are they? Well, we know a few of them. I'm going to start naming them. Motor Trend, Car and Driver, Consumer Reports, all garbage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm gonna tell you a story here in a second of why I feel that way. But these magazines are all funded by advertising. So what happens is the big dollars, whoever throws the most money at these magazines, all of a sudden it magically becomes the very best car. And so when we're looking at these magazines, we have to keep that in mind. And I'm going to give you a little story. You want to hear a story, Dave?
Oh, we love story time.
Okay, story time. All the way back in 1997, When
Wow.
Jay had just started selling cars, there was a little magazine called Motor Trend Magazine, and it had this car, as they had for the car of the year, was a 1997 Malibu. They
I
had just
can't
brought
believe
it back.
that.
Yes, they had brought back the Malibu in 1997, and Motor Trend said it was going to be the very, very best car in the world.
No,
Well,
yeah,
what did you say?
I thought it was because it kept me employed. So in my opinion, that is the best car. I made a lot of money fixing them.
And I bet you still make a lot of money fixing them.
No, I don't see too many. Those are kind of gone extinct now, but
they're out there. My whole point is this. This was like the worst car ever. It had nothing but problems, electrical issues, engine problems, you name it, it had it. But Motor Trend said it was the best car in the world. So just if you learn anything today, don't listen to the magazines. Don't listen to all of its advertising. So as we get into this, we're going to start by talking about the best cars. But in my opinion, the very best way to find the best car out there is forums, people that actually own these cars. Talk to people. There's forums on Facebook. There's forums on the internet. I don't care what kind of car it is. It could be a Malibu. There's a Malibu forum. Just check it out and see what people are saying and use the patterns that you see as reality. Don't listen to these magazines. I don't believe them. I've had enough experiences with them. I can go on and on with this, but I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. David Marks, our 22-year veteran technician. Dave, let's talk about the best cars out there. What do you think the best car out there is, or one of the best cars?
It's Hyundai Kia, hands down. I bought my girlfriend a 2018 Kia Niro last year, and the Kia is it for me. I mean, the quality is there. The parts are available, and I think that's where you get the best bang for your buck. I think the quality is just as equal to Toyota and Honda, but you're not paying the Honda and Toyota price.
So, Dave, I'm going to challenge you here for a second. What makes it the best car? You said quality. What does quality mean to you?
Well, quality means is that, you get it when you sit inside the car and you're looking at the dash, the tread, the door trim panel. It's not cheap. It's good materials. And when we're under the hood and under the suspension, we can just look at the materials and the workmanship that put into this, and like somebody actually cared that built this. They're not using cheap plastic. They're using metal where they should be. The thickness of the rubber where they use rubber hoses. It's the right thickness. They just do it right. I mean, the quality of the workmanship. There's a ton of plastic on cars nowadays for weight reduction. Okay, so the plastic that I see at least it's good hard plastic that's not gonna crack.
Interesting. I never really thought about that because we're also concerned about gas mileage. They're trying to make these cars lighter, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of plastic on cars now.
I did not know that.
There's a lot of stuff on engines is plastic, intakes, and they're even I've seen plastic oil pans, or a portion of it's plastic. It's all for weight reduction. But if they don't use the right materials, you can only heat something and cool something so many times before it fails. We just don't see that stuff fail.
Tell me this: what are some of the other things? You had mentioned the suspension and stuff. Like I don't know if any of our audience understands what suspension is. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, all the suspension does is it's a multitude of components. It's the shocks and struts, control arms. It supports the vehicle on the road. So as you're driving down the road, it can absorb those road vibrations, and that's what's give you a smooth ride, a stiff ride, or a sporty ride, depending on how they set up and the demographic that the manufacturer is going after. when they built a car. Some cars have sport suspension because they're looking for the sporty consumer. Some have soft suspension because they're looking for the family car. And some of them, they might have a firm suspension, for the Sportster. So, but yeah, that's what the suspension does. All it does is really, it gives you the type of ride and then absorbs the vibrations as you're going down the road.
Got it. So as far as, the Toyotas and Hondas, because you had said that you feel like the Kia and Hyundai are at that same level, if not better.
I agree. Better. Yeah. I mean, I bought a Kia last year over a Toyota or Honda. And Kia and Hyundai are the same thing. I don't know if people realize that, but Hyundai owns a big stake in Kia. And that goes back to 2003 model year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're 100% ownership, but they have a big, big stake because the parts are interchangeable.
Yeah, because I'm seeing tons of Kias and Hyundais on the road, and I personally like them too. And granted, there's going to be lemons in all the cars out there. And that's, again, why you should be looking at forums, and you should be looking at, what other people are saying about the cars. Now, Dave, I know you're a big Ford guy.
I've been a Ford fan for a long time.
Yeah. So tell me what you think about Fords, and how do you feel like their quality is compared to a Kia, a Hyundai, Honda, Toyota?
I think it's equal there. Before last year, Suzanne was driving a Ford Focus. We really didn't have any issues with it. To me, with Ford, it starts at the top. Bill Ford is chairman of the board of directors, direct descendant of Henry Ford. That's who's running the company. So it's still in the Ford family. They take pride in their work. I think it goes back to they didn't need the bailout money back in the recession. GM and Chrysler both needed bailout. And I drive a Ford. I drive a Ford Ranger. I drive a 2002 Ford Ranger. Yeah, I've had to do work on it, but I'd never buy an S10. Those older S10s, no, they were just junk. But those Ford Rangers, it's built for tough. Now they break like everything else, but not like the S10s do.
So do you feel that a Ford is a better vehicle than a General Motors?
Absolutely.
And why?
It's just quality.
Okay.
I mean, it's just quality. I mean, it's just when you look at the way, when you look at the vehicle and you're sitting in there, it's no different than my explanation of the Kia, the Hyundai. And you looked at the workmanship, the types of materials they used, how they're assembled, how they're put together. I'm trying to think how to put this in layman's terms. I'm sorry, I can't come up with an answer, but just looking at it, it's like, no, this is a well-built vehicle.
Well, I think what you've said, is if I understand, is it starts with the interior, the way that the interiors is put together. You don't hear a bunch of rattles and stuff when you're driving. And granted, I mean, when it comes to General Motors cars, and I'm talking about cars in general, I mean, I call them throwaway cars by the time they get to about 150,000 miles.
Yeah, general malfunction.
Well, and granted, the cars will still run, but at what cost, right?
Sure.
So yeah, you can keep the car running, but is it going to make sense to keep putting money into the darn thing? And we've talked about this, over and over in our podcast. So what other cars do you think are the best cars out there, Dave? Because we're going to get to the real fun stuff here in a second, everybody. We're going to be talking about the worst cars, and wait till you hear what we have to say.
I think the best thing it's pickup trucks. You throw all three of them out there: the Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado, and the Ram 1500. All three of those manufacturers, they put all their eggs in one basket with that. If you want, that's why truck sales kill it in the marketplace, because that's where the quality is. That's where GM spent their money. That's where Ram spent their money. That's where Ford spent their. They put all their eggs in their pickup trucks. Well, and that's why they're king. I think that's why they sell more of those than anything else. That's where the quality's at. You know where the quality's at with all three of those? It's in pickup trucks.
Interesting. Wow. So we have we have a viewer right now that just left a question. He has a 2018 GMC Sierra 4x4. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, is it the first question is it a half ton? Is it a 3/4 ton? Is it a diesel? A whole other.
I bet you it's a half ton. I'm
It's
sure
a half ton. It's a half ton. No, those are great trucks.
So those have a 5.3 motor in them, and that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, 1,500 gas. Okay, yeah, those are quality trucks. GM put their money in their pickup trucks. Ford did it, and so did Ram. I'm trying to say Ram, not Dodge.
It's a Ram. We can't even call them Dodge Rams. We have to call them Rams. So,
he's got a V6, so he's got a 4.3 in there. GM still uses.
That's been around for a long time.
Yes, GM still uses the 4.3. It's evolved over the years, but yeah, I mean, GM put their money in their pickup trucks. They all did it.
So you know why I'm so antsy right now is because we're going to talk about the worst vehicles. For everybody that just joined us, we are going to be talking about the worst vehicles to buy.
Because this is my best list.
Yeah, this is what keeps Mr. David Marks with Quality STL employed are the worst vehicles. But before we go to that, if you text 57838 and the word car, you're going to get a free ebook that I wrote that's going to give you step-by-step on how to buy a car without the nonsense. And it's a free ebook. It will also give you updates of all of our podcasts. That's 57838. Text the word car. Please like, subscribe, and comment. We read all your comments. Please share this with everybody you know, because we're gonna get into the good stuff. This is gonna be the worst cars. Is everybody ready? Here's the question, Dave. Out of all the cars that you know, what is the worst car that jumps out to you first? And I'll let you know what mine is.
The one that jumps out to me. Well, what we see a lot of is it's our buddies in Detroit, General Motors. We got on here Cadillacs. I mean, I worked at a Cadillac dealer 20 years ago, and that North Star engine they had that kept a lot of people employed. I mean, I worked at a Cadillac dealership when it was a 20-man crew, 20 technicians, and once a week we had a North Star tore apart. Once a week, and nothing's changed. So they put that 3.6 platform in their SRX SUVs. Those need timing chains. They should put it on the maintenance schedule every 75,000 miles. Take engine out to replace timing chains.
And they are so expensive when they break. I'll tell you a really quick story of an SRX. And everybody listening, so we have a buyer's agent program where people hire us to help buy vehicles nationwide at iAutoAgent. So what happened is we were helping a lady buy it. Either was going to be an SRX, or I'm sorry, not an SRX. It's the one after that. It was a CX-5, or it was going to be a Lexus RX 350. And we found one with under 1,000 miles. And so I was like, man, that looks like a pretty good deal. Call the dealership. Listen to this. Are you sitting down, Dave? It needed a new engine.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
I am not kidding. It had under 1,000 miles, and it needed a new engine. Holy cow. And then I remember this, when I worked at the Cadillac dealer, to replace one of those freaking headlights was $1,500 because you have to remove the bumper. Like, these are things that you guys have to know who's listening to this right now. These are things that the car salesperson's not going to tell you because they want to sell you a car. But these are things that get very, very costly. You want to know another thing that's really costly? A Range Rover. Oh, this is my favorite. I absolutely can't. My wife, my wonderful wife of 23 years, she wanted a Range Rover year after year after year. And I'm like, no, no, no. It is a piece of crap. And that is my opinion. If you drive a Range Rover, I'm really sorry. Not trying to be offensive. But I've got a story about a Range Rover. You want to hear this?
Yeah, I got to hear this.
So I know somebody that bought a Range Rover. The truck delivers it to the dealer, and they can't even get the truck or the Range Rover off the truck because it won't it won't start and it needs parts already. It hadn't even made it off the truck yet.
Wow.
Why
Land Rover hadn't even delivered it.
Why do you think a Range Rover is $100,000 plus new, and 3 years later you can buy it for less than half the price? Why do you think that?
We don't work on them here. I don't want them. Them and Jaguar, Aston Martin, any of that stuff. No, the Jaguar dealer's that way. Here's their phone number.
Well, I'm going to leave this one because I don't want to steal your thunder, but you guys are going to hear a real surprise now. I'm going to ask Dave what you think about Nissans. Hold on to your seat.
Nissans? Well,
hold on to your seat.
If it's their compact cars like the Versas, the Sentras, and Altimas, those keep me in business because those CVTs break and you can't rebuild them. They fail about 100,000 miles. You can't rebuild them. We can't put a used one in it because it has to be programmed. The only way to fix it is put a brand new one in it from Nissan. And we do them. We did 4 last year and they're about $4,000 a pop.
Dave, I'm going to stop you there. What is a CVT?
Oh, it's a new style transmission. It's a shiftless transmission, so you don't feel the car shift. The transmission shifts. CVT stands for constant velocity transmission. It's a belt-driven transmission, automatic transmission. Internal belt drives it. And it allows it so the car shifts and you don't feel it. It's all for fuel economy. They get better gas mileage is what it boils down to.
Whoa. Now, that's a bombshell. And if everybody just heard that, CVT transmissions in Nissan versus Sentras,
Altimas, the Rogues, Murano.
Altima. I know my son's like, hey, I want to get an Altima. I'm like, I'm not getting one.
Nope.
I mean, they're very, very reasonable as far as cost goes. You can get a lot of car for the money, but you better have a warranty because you don't want that thing to break.
I knew get rid of it about 75,000 miles.
And I've heard that too. And Honda has CVT transmissions in their CRVs and some of their other cars, don't they?
Yeah, we haven't seen any Honda. I mean, Honda's, the older ones had transmission issues, the 3.5 platform they used. But on we don't really see those. They still use a 3.5 platform. I don't know about I don't know if they fix that. Once upon a time, the Hondas with the 3.5s, no, it's going to need a transmission about 100,000 miles. They all failed. We did plenty of those once upon a time. The newer ones, we haven't seen, like the 15s up, we haven't seen any issues with those on their transmissions.
Well, I got one for you, Dave. And this is right on the same lines of the Range Rover because it's pretty much the same company, is the Jaguar. You literally need a mechanic riding with you in the back seat on a Jaguar. So if you do decide to buy a Jaguar, just make sure that you have a mechanic riding with you in the back seat and you'll be fine. I'm gonna say a story, and I have all kinds of stories, but there's reasons why I say what I do. And again, these are my opinions. But I actually decided I was going to buy a Jaguar. I was able to purchase one for a very, very reasonable cost. Actually, about $11,000 is what I paid. It was a 2013 XF, 4-door, really, really neat vehicle. And I literally wound up spending, and I can get better cost, but if I went to a Jaguar dealer, this repair would have cost me $4,000 or more to repair.
Wow.
And it was a coolant leak because I started smelling coolant. I'm like, this is weird. So I got it fixed. So guess what? Less than a week later, another light went on. It said low coolant. I'm like, what? So then I come to find out my wholesale cost was $1,000 to repair that. So if I would have taken it to a Jaguar dealership, take that times 3. So I could have spent $7,000 on a car that I paid $11,000 for. My whole point is this. We have price and we have cost. The price is what you pay. The cost is what it's really going to cost you. And that is what you have to look at when you're going into buying a vehicle. Dave, I know we have a few more here. I'm going to ask you about your Chrysler stories.
Oh, Chrysler?
And here's what we used to do. When I was in the car business and I used to be a salesperson, when someone would pull up and say, a Dodge Grand Caravan, we would say, is this a new transmission? No, no, no. We'd say, how many transmissions is this? Meaning they have terrible transmissions, and they've always had terrible transmissions. What's your thoughts right now about a Dodge or a Chrysler?
Oh, Chrysler, you just became my new best friend if you buy one. I mean, they're just, those new Caravans, the new body style, they have AC issues, and it's big bucks. Nothing's changed. Their rear AC goes out. We get like $3,200 to fix it. The front evaporator leaks to pull the dash. There's $1,500. That 3.6 platform that they use, the oil coolers leak. That's an $800 repair. Yeah. I mean, I would not recommend anybody that I know buy a Chrysler. It's this worst list is my best list because that's what keeps me in business.
Yeah,
but Chrysler, the quality's it's just gone down the tubes.
It makes sense. It really does. And Dave, you do such a great job. And I think that, another way to find out if you're buying a good car or not, call David. Call David Marks, Quality STL. He'll talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
he'll tell you if he sees if he sees the car on a regular basis. His really good customers, unfortunately, probably are people that have cars that may not be the best cars. And there's also something called maintenance. I get it, and you see Dave for maintenance, but I'm going to give you before we head out. I got two more. What do you think about BMW and Audis?
Audi and BMW, yeah. Unless you got disposable income, don't buy them.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And really have a warranty or something. There was actually a gentleman that I network with. I won't say his name, but he bought an Audi S7. And I said, you better have a warranty. And his warranty is like running out. And so the problem is, again, he was able to buy it at a reasonable cost. That's over $100,000 car. It's about right about $100,000. And he was able to buy it for about half the cost. And it was a 2017. And it has like right at 40 something thousand miles, and they go to 50,000 miles. So be very careful when you are buying a European car and you don't have a warranty. That is something that we can help you with at iAutoAgent. If you need a warranty on your vehicle, there is a possibility that we can get one at a lower cost than you could probably get on your own. And we just want to make sure that you have the right coverage. It's just like an insurance policy. Everybody buys insurance, right? And why do you buy insurance? Because you're afraid if you have an accident, it might be costly. Well, if your car breaks down, it's going to be costly when you go see Mr. David Marks. And some of the worst cars that we talked about can get very, very costly. So anyway, I really appreciate everybody's time today. I wanted to really take a couple seconds to thank our sponsor, Techie Tony with Techie Tony Media. If you want to start your own podcast, go to start@techieTonymedia.com. He'll help you out. He'll give you a free 15-minute consultation. And if you're still listening, take a second to text 57838. That's 57838 and the word car. You'll get a free ebook. It's the same process that I use at iAutoAgent.com to let people know this is how you buy a car without the nonsense. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can email me at info@iAutoAgent.com. That's info@I like integrity, autoagent.com. And I knew this was going to be an amazing episode like it usually is, Dave. You got any closing thoughts for the last 30 seconds?
Nah.
All right. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. Let us know what we can do to help you out. I'm Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent. And this is Mr.
David Marks with Quality Auto STL, home of trusted services with no surprises.
We'll see you next time.